We're getting into a high-stakes drama between Nike and Adidas over basketball's newest superstar, Caitlin Clark. Did Nike just mess up the largest deal in women's sports history? Adidas made a daring move with a game-changing contract offer that shook the industry and left Nike scrambling to keep up. However, can Adidas' last-minute efforts correct their early mistakes, or has Adidas already won the race? Let's break down exactly what happened and what it means for the future of sports branding. Picture this. Nike barely has a handle on the hottest new basketball star Caitlin Clark, and Adidas comes swooping in with a deal that's basically a dream package. Adidas offered Clark a contract that isn't just any deal. It's practically a golden ticket to shape her brand from the ground up. Adidas didn't just want her name. They wanted her ideas, vision, and full creative input on every aspect of the partnership in this Adidas offer. Most athletes can only hope for Clark's considerable control over her image, not to mention the delectable benefits that caused Nike's 8-year, $28 million contract to appear somewhat stingy. Adidas recognized that today's athletes want more than just a paycheck. They want a voice and a genuine stake in their own company. They even promised a quicker release date for her own shoe, which would arrive much earlier than Nike's postponed plans for Clark. This wasn't just an endorsement. It was an invitation to co-create her own brand, and the entire industry was shocked that Nike had missed Caitlin Clark's big moment. Now, this is where things start to get crazy. Nike had Caitlin Clark signed and ready to go, but they chose to remain on the sidelines rather than take advantage of her success. We're talking about the biggest sportswear company, and they essentially left Clark waiting on the bench. Nike's initial plan was to postpone the release of her signature shoe until 2026, possibly even until 2027, following Clark's incredible rookie season, in which she set records, filled arenas, and her Indiana Fever jerseys flew off the shelves in seconds. Despite this, Nike chose to keep her signature shoe under wraps for years, which was like waiting for the big finale for Clark and her fans. That never occurs. The fact that Nike didn't launch a single high-profile advertisement for Clark after her rookie year performance was nearly non-existent suggests that they were waiting to see if her success would last. But the truth is that the excitement was already there, and they chose to ignore it. The legal battle intensifies as Nike sues Adidas. When Adidas' offer to Clark reached Nike's attention, they didn't respond with a revised plan or a stronger offer. Instead, they went straight to the lawyers. Yes, Nike determined that suing Adidas was the best way to protect their investment rather than promoting it. It's kind of ironic when you consider that Nike, the largest sports company in the world, spent more time in courtrooms than marketing. The legal action was intended to prevent Adidas from what Nike considered to be athlete poaching. While Nike's focus was in court rather than advancing Clark's brand and image, Caitlin Clark followers were raving about how Adidas was helping her reach her full potential. Nike was embroiled in legal tactics for Adidas, but this just served to exacerbate the larger the more their daring action garnered media attention, and the more Nike appeared to mishandle their own star athlete, the more alarmed they became. As the pressure mounted, Nike began rushing to catch up in order to preserve a crucial collaboration with Adidas. All of a sudden, Caitlin Clark was receiving a lot more attention, new promotions, and even extra bonuses. These marketing strategies should have started much earlier, but now they felt like an afterthought. Nike even hurried the release of her shoes, speeding it up, but by this point, it felt like a mad dash, as if they were trying to make up for underestimating Clark's influence. Fans noticed the sudden shift, and while Nike's push was a positive step, everyone was wondering if they had waited too long. Nike was now putting all of their money into Clark in an attempt to show that they valued her brand, but the sudden rush felt forced. They were wagering everything on regaining her momentum, but every second that went by the clock was moving more quickly. Wanyama's $100 million agreement versus Clark's $28 million transaction. Caitlin Clark's contract with Nike was meant to be revolutionary. $28 million over 8 years is impressive, right? Well, it was until people began comparing it to other contracts in the industry, like Victor Wanyama's Nike deal, which was worth an incredible $100 million. When those figures were revealed, fans and analysts began to question whether Clark, a player who was already revolutionizing women's basketball, was being underappreciated. When compared to Wanyama's $100 million, Clark's $28 million seemed insignificant, and with Adidas now in the picture, Nike's dedication to Clark appeared even less sincere. People started to wonder if the industry was truly prepared to support women's sports with actual funding. This wasn't just about the paycheck. It was a wake-up call on how much female athletes are valued endorsements. Nike was obviously still afraid to sign Allen as a women's basketball superstar, despite Clark's enormous talent and expanding fan base, as evidenced by Clark's lesser offer. The rookie star was dominating the court. In her rookie season, Caitlin Clark was more than just a promising player. She was lighting up the court with insane numbers, averaging 19.2 points per game, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds. Her performances were so electrifying that arenas crowded whenever she played, and her Indiana Fever jerseys sold out in seconds. This level of excitement for a rookie in women's basketball was unprecedented, but it went beyond the numbers. Nike had a front-row seat to her breakthrough year, but somehow lost the opportunity to make her the face of women's basketball while Clark was setting records and gaining millions of admirers. Clark wasn't just playing basketball, she was starting a movement and drawing more fans and attention to the sport than anyone had ever seen before. Nike chose to pick a jaw because they simply ignored her and missed numerous opportunities to properly back her as the movement leader she was becoming, rather than fully committing to the up-and-coming talent Caitlin Clark. Wilson's preference for Clark and Wyatt backfired. Nike prioritized WNBA MVP Wilson's signature shoe. Wilson is a fantastic athlete who truly deserves her own line, but the timing of this decision was completely off. Industry insiders were seriously perplexed by the decision to put Wilson ahead of the younger, rapidly rising Clark, pointing out that Wilson postponed the release of Clark's shoe even further, stalling Clark's brand growth just as her popularity was exploding. Clark's fans were left perplexed because they wanted her signature shoe, but Nike kept them waiting. Adidas, on the other hand, saw Nike's hesitancy as the ideal opportunity to jump in fans' reactions online as Nike's PR crisis exploded once news broke about Nike's mishandling of Clark's deal. Fans and sports analysts on all platforms were analyzing Nike's mistakes, with many pointing out that Clark was being completely undermarketed. People started to wonder if Nike even understood what they had in Clark, and the backlash turned into a full-on PR nightmare. Even celebrities like Billie Jean King jumped in, praising Clark and highlighting the potential that Nike seemed to be ignoring. Fans didn't hold back from expressing their disappointment, and every tweet and post only served to highlight Nike's mistakes. Nike was unable to ignore the online firestorm, and it was evident that they were dealing with an image issue that would not go away anytime soon. This issue included athlete power and branding in general. Athletes today want more than just to appear on advertisements. They want actual control over their brands and ownership. For Clark's saga, this went beyond simply signing with a well-known sports company. It was about establishing her reputation as a top athlete and significant public figure. Adidas swiftly demonstrated that they understood the new game and how Clark's story could serve as a guide for future athletes. Nike's traditional top-down approach, where they control the brand image, clashed with what today's athletes expect. The biggest takeaway is that athletes now have the power to drive the conversation, especially with their massive social media followings. They're no longer just taking what brands offer. They're calling the shots and expecting brands to align with their vision. Clark's story is significant not only for her followers, but also for young athletes worldwide. What transpired with as new athletes watch this, they realize they can and should ask for real control and true partnerships with the brands they represent. Future players and their agents are closely monitoring Clark's negotiations to learn what to do and what not to do when working with major brands. Nike demonstrated to the sports world how important it is for athletes to know their worth and push for more than just a logo on their gear. Today's athletes may advocate for brand deals that accurately represent their identities and values by using Clark's path as a real-life example. As the heat increased, Nike abruptly went into overdrive to try to salvage their relationship with Clark. They hurried to correct their previous errors, accelerating the release date of her shoes and launching new marketing campaigns to keep fans interested. After all the blunders, it was clear that Nike had underestimated the stakes and the timing from the beginning. Fans saw through this last-minute push, and many were left wondering if Nike's efforts were simply too late. Clark began to appear in more of their promos with Nike in an attempt to reignite interest in her brand, but the big question now is whether they can regain Clark's trust. Time will tell if Nike's initiatives are sufficient to make up for the missed chance after Clark's brand was caught up in a whirlwind. Nike's reputation was at stake following a blunder involving a rising star. The company had established its reputation by supporting sports icons like Michael Jordan, but with Clark, they almost made a mistake that sent shockwaves through the industry. Adidas and other competitors were taking note of the incident and using it as a guide to figure out how to establish a deeper connection with athletes. That concludes today's post. Please remember to like and subscribe for more updates, and we'll see you in the next one. This entire incident is a serious wake-up call that they may need to adjust to the modern SP sports market. They're currently dealing with a difficult balance between their traditional method of signing athletes and a new generation of players who expect a genuine partnership and respect from the brands they work with. What do you think? Did Nike miss their chance with Caitlin Clark?